The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo, do you want to speak on this? Yes. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill number 68 for National Assembly of 2023, but a visual reservation because all my life in the House, I have had reservation about the mischief that normally ends up being achieved through miscellaneous amendment. And I cannot drop that particular position because I sincerely believe that some of the amendments being proposed sometimes go to the depth of the bill to an extent that we need to be treated carefully. Honorable Speaker, it provides several bills to be amended: the Oaths and Statutory Declarations, the Advocates Act, the Notaries Public Act, the Civil Procedure Act, Public Holidays Act. And I want to mention my colleague. Honorable Speaker, 10th October has always been nostalgically Moi Day. Those of us who went to school during Maziwa ya Nyayo, Loyalty Pledge, Tawala Kenya Tawala, we look back with nostalgia. Just because of our typical politics, we are in a hurry to erase the good things that Baba Moi used to give to us. And members would remember how we would joyfully line up the roads in our rural areas with the miniature flags cheering the motorcade of Baba Moi, and we would rise out of the sunroof of wonderful Mercedes-Benz and wave to us. And that day, Honorable Speaker, when you go to class the next day, you will get all the marks because you will feel energized. As a society, we should not allow that kind of a feeling to go. It robs us of our history. It robs us of our pride. We need to find a way of bringing it back. The reference to Tamadun Day had some little significance. But I totally agree with my colleague who says, Utamaduni is about our culture. These different communities celebrate their culture on different dates. So having a fixed day does not make sense. And I would, as at the committee of the whole House, I'll give it an attempt to return Moi Day, so that many of us who have a problem in current technology allow us to celebrate our good days. Because by then we didn't have PlayStations, there were no TV. The only thing we would entertain ourselves is probably marching like Moi used to march when you'd inspect guards of honor. Honorable Speaker, when we go to the next act being amended, that's the Trustees Perpetual Succession Act, Cap 164, the amendment might look routine, all dealing with the change of the word pension fund principle. But then, Honorable Speaker, the various schedules attached to it that are being amended could be substantial. The fees that are being initiated here could be substantial. And that's why I have argued, such kind of amendments, why not just bring the bill? Subject the bill to public participation on its own, so that those who have got personal interest, the practitioners in the field, can actually give proper input. But as it is, Honorable Speaker, these kind of amendments, the substance of the matter is going to be changed. So again, I would have to make an amendment so that we delete this. So that let's go for substantive amendments, because there are so many things that have moved on. The National Training Act, I don't want to make a comment, but allow me to just make a comment on the Traffic Act. Honorable Speaker, I remember some years back when in the corporate world, I was late for a meeting to go and make a presentation that was going to give my organization 10 million then. That's around 2010, to about 2007, was not a small amount of money. I got a traffic officer who stopped me, and I was talking on the mobile phone. And he wasted my time. So, Speaker, what I did, and I must confess my sins because I'm in the period of Lent, I left my key plus the car, plus the traffic officer. I went away with the key. Left the traffic officer in the car, didn't lock it, opened the windows, hopped into a taxi and left him there because I could not afford to waste that time. So these amendments that are being brought here that will allow electronic payment of fines, accepting the charges and the rest is very progressive. We must support it. It's very progressive. The Sexual Offences Act, Honorable Speaker, I come from a community where cases of child abuse, sexual molestation, both for the boy and the girl child, are becoming rampant. And indeed, many times, the convict or the offender will be released and come and threaten and intimidate the witnesses and the victim. And so for that reason, many of the cases go unreported because, as they say, there's nothing I will do to the offender. It's a good idea that a register is kept by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, so the information can be shared amongst the various cadres of courts. But, Honorable Speaker, we need to go a bit further. Just like you have your records as Registrar of Persons in terms of ID, birth certificate, and the rest, a convicted sexual offender, that conviction should be part of personal data. So that for any reason, if we get to the way you normally see in the movies, you can just key in and get all the personal data, and some unclassified personal data of a person. A sexual offender, a convicted sexual offender, that information should be considered not personal, should not be considered classified, but should be available. So that when I see a sexual offender probably hovering around children, I should raise an alarm in whichever way we can raise it, so that sexual offender must not be allowed to come close to children especially. So, Honorable Speaker, would also find a way, this new system they want to come up with, they can cooperate the same. Honorable Speaker, I want to skip the veterinary because I'm not a veterinary doctor. I might not understand exactly what the amendments are all about. But allow me, Honorable Speaker, to speak about the Universities Act. There are two very critical amendments being proposed here. Initially, a former National Polytechnic could be declared a technical university. That's why you found a technical university came out of, I think, the Nairobi Polytechnic, Mombasa, all over. So actually here it's speaking to, is now trying to expand, because we are going to declare a number of TVETs or TTI to be technical or national polytechnics. They might not have the requisite infrastructure for them to get to that position. And that's why the amendment under bill now expands the requirements or the criteria to include the requisite physical facilities and human resource capacity that are appropriate for technical university. And I hope once this passes, we need to also put in place criteria for nomination as a national polytechnic because of the geopolitics that has pervaded this country. Bumbe TTI, that was established 1974, and it was the foundation stone was laid in 1974 when Professor Julio Jambo was the MP for then Busia Central, and opened by Baba Moi in 1977, has never been elevated to National Polytechnic. This, regardless of the fact that it has got all the infrastructure it requires, successive governments, successive donors have given us money to get to a point that we are far much bigger than any other, but it has never been given that status. We keep on to urge the national government, give us that status so that we can eventually encourage the community and we get a technical university status. I agree totally with the provision that the lead government sponsored and making it universal, that any child who wants to go to university, whether you are going to private university, you are going to government public university, you must meet some academic qualifications. And who can be better placed to set those academic qualifications the Central Placement Board. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I...
Very well. The Honorable Esther Passaris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statute law miscellaneous amendment brought in by the majority